Hey again, everyone. It's Rob Ryder. This would be Tuesday, December 10th, 2013. We're going to be on Clerk Watch. Gonna find our clerks. And I am Rob Ryder. Court of Record at AOL.com is my email address. 616-712-6179 is my phone number. Can you donate? Will you donate? Well, if you can and if you will, my PayPal account is ashleyritluski@gmail.com. That is the PayPal account. Snail mail would be Robert Ritluski, 10955 14 Mile Road, Rockford, Michigan 49341. Could sure use it. Okay, this is a relatively short video just on some interesting things come up about clerks. I got some stuff from Bobby and Patrick in Arizona, and look at that, and then a few things about other things they do here in Michigan, and why it's important to pay more attention to the clerk than to the judge. So let's see what we got. First of all, Michigan legislative website. Every state has some kind of website where your compiled laws or your statutes or whatever are on there, and hopefully you can do some kind of word search. And so one word search you would really want to do is the word Chancery, Chancery, because even though there are no chancery courts in Michigan anymore, we still have 60 hits on the word chancery in the statutes of Michigan, because there is no chancery court, but the circuit court has taken over the duties of the chancery court, or so it says. So we're not going to go through all these. It's just, I'm going to go through some of them, and I'm just saying where we're trying to get to is wherever Chancery is, because Chancery is the court of justice. It's a court of equity. It's the court of the king's conscience. It's where they keep the Great Seal. It's where the original writs under the Great Seal from the court of Chancery come. We need to find the court of Chancery. And I think it has something to do with the clerk. But let's look at what Arizona had real quick here. Arizona. Bear with me. There we go. Okay, this is the clerk of the Superior Court in Pinal County, Arizona. And department description. Now, I put this on another form, or copied and pasted because it's too hard for me to read on here and I can't color it. But, clerk of the Superior Court. That's what they call it in Arizona. So, what about that? Well, let's look at what this description is. So really this is just this made bigger. Duties of the clerk of the Superior Court. The clerk of the Superior Court, which the Arizona Constitution established as an elected official, so it's a constitutional office, within each of the state's 15 counties, serves as the official record keeper, court of record, office of the recorder, and financial officer of the Superior Court. Arizona revised statutes, Supreme Court, and local court rules clearly define the duties and functions of the clerk of the Superior Court. These functions include, but are not limited to, the following descriptions. Okay, so we're going to take a look at some of the things they say here, but the other place to look is the Supreme Court and local court rules for things to do with the clerk of the Superior Court. Okay, so the administrator of court records and exhibits. All the documents presented in a Superior Court case must be received, processed, and secured, and purged in accordance with certain statutory time constraints, archival standards, and requirements. In this role, the clerk identifies the changing needs of the various records management programs to ensure the interests of the courts and public are secured. Okay. As the court's fiduciary officer, so those of you who have been trying to appoint a trustee at the court, it's the clerk. They already said they're the fiduciary. As the court's fiduciary officer, the clerk receives, records, invests, and disperses all statutory fees, fines, reimbursements, restitutions, and public custodial trust funds. public/custodial, or get rid of custodial and say public trust funds. The clerk is the custodian, or is the fiduciary officer over the public trust funds, as ordered by the court, utilizing innovative systems and technology whenever feasible. This flow of funds is accomplished only through court order and statutory authorization. Now, I didn't pay any attention to this earlier. Reimbursements. Interesting. If you had a mortgage on your property and you went to your property file and found in there that there was a discharge of mortgage or satisfaction of mortgage or something like that, well, that would mean that your securities should be returned to you. And many people have these in there, especially if you've refinanced at some time in the past. You're going to have one from the last bank, because the bank that's going to finance you today is going to make sure that the one that was done before is cleared off the books. Okay, so that would be like a reimbursement, in my opinion. And who has these? The court does. The same with the federal tax lien. When they've been released, I've said this before on other videos, that when you look at these things, they look like they're written like checks. And who has them? Well, the court clerk does. At least in Arizona, clerk of the Superior Court. It sounds to me like this is where, and we'll see that it is, this is where all the financial instruments are that go with a court case. They're not in your law side file that you see, that you get when you go to the court to get a copy of your file. They're in the chancery side. And more on that in just a little bit. This is really good. The clerk issues writs and subpoenas. Well, first of all, subpoenas are strictly out of courts of chancery. Boom! The clerk issues them. Must be chancery. Not only that, the clerk issues writs. What kind of writs are we trying to get? Original writs under the Great Seal from the Court of Chancery. Boom! Back to the clerk. Court of Chancery. The clerk issues writs and subpoenas, wage assignments, and other court-related orders serving as a quasi-judicial capacity. The penal county clerk of the Superior Court has been appointed as the county's probate registrar. So not only is the clerk of the Superior Court, he or she is also the probate registrar. Yeah, the probate registrar has lots of powers. They have judicial powers, much like a probate judge. The judge's got a few more. The great thing is, right, it's the probate registrar of the correct, I guess we'll say for lack of a better term, seems like it would be the correct jurisdiction of probate, and performs limited judicial functions associated with that appointment. Now, this is odd, right? Because we're talking about the clerk of the Superior Court. If we go back and we look at this page, right, clerk of the Superior Court, and these are the department descriptions. So the clerk of the Superior Court is ex officio clerk of the Superior Court. Go figure. The office of the clerk of the Superior Court is ex officio clerk of the Superior Court. A strange sentence. What's even stranger is this: the clerk's presence at all court sessions. I didn't say, well, maybe it's just the Superior Court, but we'll find out. The clerk's presence at all court sessions is required by statute to receive and record court documents and exhibits. When you go to court with paperwork, you don't give it to the judge, you give it to the clerk. The clerk's presence at all court sessions is required by statute to receive and record court documents and exhibits, thereby establishing an independent record of court proceedings. In this role, the clerk is responsible for ensuring proper documentation of court action as well as public access to court records. You don't give your evidence and shit to the judge, you give it to the clerk. Now, Bobby was telling me, he said, Bob, you told me before, it was one of the stories, I've told so many freaking stories, I can't remember the story, but that somebody had gone to court and they had done this, they had either mistakenly or intentionally, I can't remember the story, giving the paperwork to the clerk, and the judge got all huffy and pissed off and left the courtroom. But beautiful. Man, I wish I could remember that. If I said it and heard it. If I said it on a tape or video or whatever I said it on, somebody told me. So, somebody did do it. I just don't remember the story. Got too many of them in my head. But it's worth trying tomorrow. You go into court tomorrow and you got evidence or you got a petition or you got whatever it is. You don't give it to the judge. You don't give it to the bailiff. You don't give it to nobody but the clerk. It is required by statute to receive and record court documents and exhibits. Now, you may have put these into the, so let's say you've gone to the court window and put them in, and you got file stamped copies. You may give those to the clerk. Here's the thing. When you read how you're supposed to do a court case, usually it says, if you really look at it, it talks about doing your paperwork with the clerk of the court. Yet what people do is they go to the court building, to the court window, and give it to a deputy clerk at the court. Not to the clerk, to the court window. Right now we've been, trained like cattle to walk to that window, but that isn't what it says to do. It says to go to the clerk first. This is off the last two videos I did, right? If you really look at it, you go in New York, you go to the county clerk first. Pretty simple. Got to go to the county clerk. Then you go to the court. Well, this circuit court clerk, or not circuit court, this is Superior Court clerk in Maricopa County, their office isn't in the court building. It's in another building altogether. It's nowhere, well, I'm not going to say it's nowhere near the court, but it's not the court building. And yet it says that you take your paperwork to the clerk of the Superior Court. And we keep going into the court building first, to that frickin' window, and give them our paperwork, and they stamp it. Ha ha ha, ha ha. Well, no wonder nobody pays any attention to it. We didn't follow the frickin' procedure. We didn't go to the damn clerk of the Superior Court first. Elected department administrator. As the elected administrator, that would be like the executive, the chief executive of a court department. The clerk has responsibility to establish office policies, budgets, and procedures in accordance with the governing guidelines and policies of the Superior Court, Supreme Court, Penal County. All right, so they are the executive of the court department. And so, let's say, what will we say? You're being charged with a crime. There's no sworn complaint. Who are you going to tell? The administrator of the court department. Have them go down there and find out what's going on. Seems to me. Mission statement. The missions of the office of the clerk of the Superior Court. Office of the clerk of the Superior Court. That's the office you're looking for. Office of the clerk of the Superior Court. Is to maintain the public trust. Maintain the public trust and confidence as the official record keeper and fiduciary of the court. You want to make somebody your fiduciary in the court. Don't make it the judge, the attorney, the district attorney. No. It's the clerk of the Superior Court. The office will exercise stewardship over public monies, integrated innovative technology, and ensure integrity of jury service. So, okay, what else was there on this? Right, so, clerk of the Superior Court. What was that interesting thing we had? After hours. Where was that thing? After hours filing. Let's look at this. They got a drop box. In a continuing effort to improve customer service and provide a flexible way of filing paperwork, After Hours box is located just east of the front door of the courthouse. The clerk of the Superior Court office hopes that you will find this improvement beneficial. Slot 1, you timestamp the original document and any copies, yada yada yada. Slot 2, insert the original timestamped into the opening marked documents. Whatever else you need to do, put on the filing fee, whatever it takes. They got after hours window. to go put in your petition to the Court of Chancery. Because, again, that's really what we're dealing with. Here's the Court of Chancery. Locations. See, there's only one clerk of the court, or clerk of the Superior Court elected office, right? However, you would think you'd be able to find their satellite offices anywhere. And here they are. Satellite office, Apache Junction. Right now, I don't know if these are court buildings. What I do know is that's the satellite office, that you don't have to go to the main office. You got satellite offices to go to the office of the clerk of the court. Request for court records. Now you can get most of the court record stuff, right? When you go to the window in the courthouse, you can get your court copies, your court record. So why is this clerk's different? It's because it's the other side of the file. To better serve you, it's no longer necessary to call our office and request copies of court records. Simply fill out and submit our request for court records form. Wait to hear from our office for fees due. Submit your payment and allow time for processing and delivery. You may request a copy of the following court records: civil, criminal, probate, domestic, juvenile, guardianship, marriage, from 1875 to present. So these are the other side of the, to me, these are the chancery files we're talking about, not the records that are in law. In the, when you went into the court building, you walked up to the big ass window and, you know, probably bulletproof glass, and there's some clerk sitting on the other side taking your court paperwork and stamping it. All right, that's the clerk of the court of the, you know, actually the court. Or I should say the Superior Court clerk. And we want the clerk of the Superior Court. Other way of doing it. One side's the chancery side and one side's the law side. Alright. So there's lots of things on here. I haven't really even gone through all these yet. Very interesting. Find the right clerk. The clerk of the court. Again, this is in Arizona. Arizona Revised Statute 14.1305. The clerk of the court shall keep record of each decedent, ward, protected person, or trust involved in any document which may be filed with the court under this title, including petitions and applications, demands, and any orders or responses relating thereto by the registrar or court, and establish and maintain a system of indexing. There's that indexing, filing and recording, which is sufficient to enable users to record records adequate information. Now, Bobby sent this to me, and I don't know if this is under the circuit or the Superior Court or not, but let's say that it is, because it's the clerk of the court. They shall keep a record of each decedent, ward, protected person, or trust involved in any document which may be filed with the court. Well, that means they have a record on you, because you're either a decedent, a ward, or protected person. And what we want to do is change that status. But they're going to have the frickin' paperwork, the record, as well as why it is that you're in that particular situation. And we should be able to file a petition to ask for like an inquest of office to determine the rights, title, and interest to our land and estates. Upon payment of fees required by law, the clerk must issue certified copies of any probate wills, letters issued to personal representatives, or other record of paper filed or recorded. Here's another thing. When your ancestors die, let's say your mother or father passes away, and you get the death certificate, and you're going to be the executor, you're supposed to go to the probate court with that stuff and have it filed or something. This is something I remember from the past. I have to go look at it. But we don't go to the window that says frickin' probate court. Right? We're going to go to the county clerk the clerk of the county court, the clerk of the superior court, whatever it ends up being in your particular jurisdiction, that's where you go to put that stuff in. That's where you go to take your that your mortgage has been released. It's in that. See, they take a lot of this paperwork, let's say like your discharge of mortgage, and they put it in your property file, register of deeds, whatever. It's not where it's supposed to be, I don't believe. I think we're supposed to take it from there, go to the Chancery Court, and have them put it in there so that in the office of the recorder, where the official records are, shows that it's been discharged, and then they can release your securities to you. Now this is good. Again, Arizona Revised Statute 12-126, seal, affixing the seal. The Superior Court shall have a seal which shall be the vignette of Abraham Lincoln with the words, seal of the Superior Court of the State of Arizona in and for the county of, whatever, surrounding the vignette. The seal shall be kept by the clerk of the court. You want to find out who the clerk of the court is, you take this one law in, and you walk around every clerk you see, and you point to that thing where it says seal of the Superior Court of the State of Arizona in the county of, and you say, who has this? Who has the seal? Where's the seal? When you find the frickin' seal, you found the clerk of the court. You don't need to look for anything else. When you find the seal, you found the clerk of the Superior Court, the lowercase Superior Court, the Court of Probate, lowercase, the one that we really need to find, the Court of Chancery. That's how you could do it in Arizona. Right? I don't know if other states have the same thing or not, right? But go find the Great Seal for the court and find the law that has it, and take the law, walk around talking to clerks, and whoever you find, say, hey, who's got this seal? See where it says it right here in this law? Who's got the seal? The seal of the Superior Court need not be affixed to any proceeding in the court except summons or writs. Well, that summons would be a subpoena. Writ would be a prerogative writ, like an original writ under the Great Seal from the Court of Chancery. The proof of a will, the appointment of an executor. See, this is where you want to be appointed as the executor. So if you want to be appointed as the executor of your decedent's estate, you had better have a frickin' document with a seal on it that says seal of the Superior Court of the State of Arizona in and for the county of, or you have the wrong jurisdiction. Authentication of a copy of a record or proceeding of court and its officers for the purpose of record or evidence in another court or place, right? This is unless it has this seal on it, the seal of the Superior Court of the State of Arizona in and for the county of, whatever, it's not conclusive evidence in all courts of law. If it does, it is conclusive evidence of all courts of law. The seal may be affixed by impressing on paper or on a substance attached to the paper capable of receiving an impression. I can't point out how freaking important this is. I hope you're paying attention. Right here, right? The seal of Superior Court need not be affixed to any proceeding in the court except a summons or writ. Right? You getting a summons or a writ? You ever get a summons or a writ that has this on? Seal of the Superior Court of the State of Arizona in and for the county of. If not, right? I think they're simulating a legal process. The proof of a will, the appointment of an executor. If you want to be appointed the executor of your family's estate, you had better have a freaking document that says, with a mugshot of Abraham Lincoln on it, the seal of the Superior Court of the State of Arizona in and for the county of. Boom. And look at it, it's all lowercase except Arizona. And probably whatever the name of the county is going to be. And who has that? Well, the seal shall be kept by the clerk of the court. The clerk of what court? The clerk of the Superior Court. Now this is in Michigan. County clerk, who I believe is the same person we're talking about, but we're going to go as the Superior Court clerk, because in Michigan, as you'll see, she's also the clerk of the Circuit Court. And that's what we have here. But first of all, county clerk. So this is Michigan Compiled Law, MCL 50.101, that it shall be the duty of the county clerk in all cases where bonds and other obligations are filed in any civil case, either on the law or chancery side of the court, to record such bond or other obligation in a book in the office of such clerk to be kept for such purposes. If you want to know where the bonds are for your court case, you go to the county clerk with this law and you say, show me the bonds for my court case, either on the law or chancery side. Right? Because there ain't shit in the law side, it's all on the chancery side, and we're not seeing the chancery side of the court case. It shall be the duty. I love it when it's their duty. It shall be the duty of the county clerk, lowercase county clerk, in all cases where bonds or other obligations are filed in any civil case, either on the law or chancery side of the court, to record such bond or other obligation in a book in the office of the clerk to be kept for such purpose. So why would you want to do this? Well, if you have a foreclosure going on, there was a lis pendens or notice of lis pendens issued and it's sitting in your property file, well, that means a suit pending. Where's the suit pending? Because it's not the one you're going into, right? It's a different one. It's the one on the chancery side. It's the one that when you find that pending suit in the chancery side, to settle the case is going to be less than $20. Why is that? Because it's a small claims for, well, number one, could be for nothing. Could be for less than 40 shillings. Right? It was a small claim. They're not charging you for money. They're charging you for trespass on their property. And they're saying that the property, be it the negotiable instruments or the real estate, is their property. So if you go and you find these bonds, and somewhere on the bond is going to say what the value of it is, when you pay the bond off, the case is over. And you're going to do it at the court, and then the court will, excuse me, the court will satisfy the bond. My opinion. We should go find out. The county clerk of each county shall be the clerk of the circuit court for the county. There you go. So the county clerk is the clerk of the circuit court for the county. Have the care and custody of all records, seals, books, and papers pertaining to the office of the clerk of such court. So again, whatever our seal is in Michigan, the lowercase county clerk, as the clerk of the circuit court, is going to have it. Perform such duties as may be described by court rule. Whenever in any statute of this state the designation registrar in chancery occurs, it shall be deemed to apply to the clerk of the circuit court, and the circuit court clerk is who? The county clerk. Again, here we are, register in chancery. Register in chancery. Not supposed to be a chancery court, but there it is. She's the register in chancery. Delinquent taxes. Any tax that may have been assessed or returned delinquent to the county treasurer upon any lands or by virtue of any of the provisions of this act and remaining unpaid may be sued for by the county road commission of the county in which the delinquent lands are situated, or by the state highway commissioner in an action of assumption before any court of competent jurisdiction, or the county road commissioners or the state highway commissioner may file their bill in equity to enforce the lien of such tax against the real estate charged therewith, in the same manner as mortgages are foreclosed in chancery. Where are mortgages foreclosed? Happens in chancery. Doesn't happen in a court of law. Happens in chancery. The court may order the sale of such delinquent land at any time after 6 months from the filing of such bill in chancery. Some people put in complaints into chancery. Other people put in bills. Construction, improvement, maintenance of highways. And I don't remember where I read this in these laws before, but the county road commission can issue a warrant for 6 cents. Right? Whatever the improvement is, and then they, right? So now you didn't pay this little frickin' taxable, lawfully taxed, what do I want to call it, excise tax. Because really the only thing that the county is supposed to do is take care of the frickin' roads. And so they have a road commission. And they're going to put this lien against your property, or they're going to charge you a tax, and unfortunately you're not going to get the bill for whatever reason. Oh, it got lost in the mail, whatever happened, never see it. Oh, now it becomes a lien. The lien goes against your estate. Boom, you're going to foreclose on the property for 6 cents. Right? So that's how it works. Now, when I was looking at that list for Chancery, here's just some of them that came up. Or this is the list. There were 60-some hits altogether. Here's one: Division of Territory, Institution of Proceedings in Chancery Decree. One of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what the elemental republic is. And it should be a township. Could be a township, but it's not necessarily a survey township. Could be it's a school district. Could be it's lots of things. Could be that somewhere in the division of territory, if we were to go look, because those records are in Chancery, we would be able to figure out what is the elemental republic we're in. A new assessment district, right? So what, again, what district are we in? Action to recover deficiency judgment against mortgagor. Right? Deficiency judgment against mortgagor. Well, what would that be? That would be, could be, because I haven't gone and looked at these yet. I don't know what section 125.1449 is. Action to recover deficiency judgment against mortgagor. Well, what kind of deficiency judgment would there be? There would be a confessed judgment, because on the note, what most people call a promissory note, you promise to make these payments, and once you stop making them, it can kick into an automatic confessed judgment. And so they have this deficiency judgment, confessed judgment against you, and now they want to do an action to recover based on the deficiency judgment. And that would be done through Chancery. You got to go to the Chancery court. You got to find the files in the Chancery court. And when you find them, you'll find out, okay, there's this deficiency judgment. How much do they say you owe them? Whatever's on there, pay it. Boom, case is over. Jurisdiction to vacate cemeteries. Interesting. Testimony, transcript, summary transmitted to governor and accused. That would be interesting. Something to do with testimony they take in Chancery. What's your testimony? Get it from them, take it to Chancery. Bond is proof of financial responsibility, satisfaction of judgment. There we are. There's those bonds again. Something to do with Chancery. Procedure, bill a complaint in circuit court in Chancery. Now, we were just talking about bills earlier. This is the procedure to do a bill of complaint in circuit court in Chancery. Might want to read that, find out how they're putting in your tax liens. Service of process upon defendants. Right? Might want to find out why we're not getting the service that we're supposed to be getting. Why we're not getting this mail that says, hey, there's a court case against you. You know, you better come and answer. If you don't, we're going to give a default judgment. Contributions, recovery in Chancery. Well, if everything that we sign is either a gift or donation, those would be contributions. I want them back. I didn't mean it to be a gift. I want my property back. Real estate bonds and securities. Failures to file reports or give information. Authority of Attorney General. Procedure, requirement, taxable cost. Right? Real estate bonds and securities. So I have something to do with Chancery. Trust mortgage foreclosures. Chancery. Trustees, court appointment. Chancery. Sale of realty. Procedures. Proceeds, abandoned property. This goes back to abandoning your property, your all capital letter name business, sole proprietorship, by not filling out that frickin' assumed name certificate in the last video we did. Right? Abandoned property. Chancery. Sale or mortgage of real estate. To pay debts for reinvestment. Title. Passing to annual conference. License to sell. Procedure. Chancery. Mortgage lien foreclosure. Chancery. Corporation life expiration liquidation. Chancery. Marriage of doubtful validity, procedure to annul. I think anybody who thinks you're going to go into a divorce would really want to look at this because it's done in Chancery. And I guarantee you there's a flaw in the frickin' paperwork of your marriage. Because first of all, it didn't marry the people. It's a union of two estates. It's a business transaction. Don't get along? Well, then annul the business, right? Just shut the business down. It's not a divorce. It's an annulment. Marriage of doubtful validity. Procedure to annul. Where do you go find out about that? You got it. Chancery. Oh. Land sale held for public purposes and new land purchase. Bill of complaint. Chancery. Public loss, records lost, public records, yada yada yada. Complaint filing. Proceedings to enforce a lien, lis pendens. Oh, there's the lis pendens. Proceedings to enforce a lien, lis pendens, parties, cross bills, practice, procedure. Where's it done? Court of Chancery. Look at that. Court of Chancery. Power's not abridged. We don't have courts of Chancery anymore. But there it is. Court of Chancery. Circuit Court clerks, duties, accounting. I bet you they have something to do with Chancery. Circuit Court, jurisdiction of power. I bet you it has something to do with Court of Chancery. Probate and Chancery. Foreclosure by advertisement in Chancery. Receiver, bond, powers, duties, administration of estate, common law assignments are done in Chancery. So all these had something to do with Chancery. All the answers are in the Court of Chancery. It's the Court of Justice, the Court of Equity. It's just being used against us right now because we never go there. We're not following the frickin' rules. We don't go to the clerk of the court first to file our paperwork before we take it to the court. Right? We go to the window of the court to somebody who says they're the deputy clerk and give it to them, but that's not the clerk of the court. That's the court. Go to the clerk of the court first, then go to the court. And if you have a case going right now, go to the clerk of the court to see the Chancery side of the case that isn't in the law side where the obligations are, where bonds or other obligations are filed in any civil case, either on the law or Chancery side of the court. The county clerk has to keep a book in the office of such clerk, the county clerk, for such purposes. Right? You're going to the county clerk, has nothing to do with the court, but you're going to the county court clerk to find out about your court case. You got to go to the county, you got to go to the proper office of such clerk. And we're talking about the county clerk. And they're going to have a book, has all the court cases, all civil, any civil case. You should be able to give them your civil case number, and they should be able to tell you any bonds or other obligations that have been filed with it. So, okay. Well, that was really all I had. This is just very interesting stuff, man. The things you can learn by actually reading what they had to say. The court's fiduciary officer in Arizona is the clerk of the Superior Court. The clerk issues writs and subpoenas. Subpoenas only come out of courts of Chancery. And the Court of Chancery is the one that does what? It issues the original writs under the Great Seal of the Court of Chancery. And this clerk issues writs. Must be the Court of Chancery. And he'd been appointed the probate registrar. The clerk's presence at all court sessions. This is, we need, somebody could try this tomorrow. The clerk's presence at all court sessions is required by statute to receive and record court documents and exhibits, thereby establishing an independent record of court proceedings. Now, it says presence at all court sessions. So when court is in session, not at the clerk's window, when court is in session, they're there to receive and record court documents. So hand them to the clerk. That'll chap their ass. And By the way, clerk, I accept your oath, bind you to it, remind you have a fiduciary duty, appoint you my trustee, settle, set off, and close the account. And then we got my, I'd like to get access to my estate. We got some work to do. Let's get out of here. I'll buy you lunch. Come on. Now this thing about I accept your oath, bind you to it, remind you have fiduciary duty. For those who haven't followed me from the beginning, powerful stuff. A guy named Doug here in Michigan was confronted at gunpoint by our IRS agents in his yard because he had been kind of, dodging them for quite some time. And finally, they showed up with guns. They took him to, excuse me, Bay City here in Michigan, to an arraignment, basically, at the district court, federal district court, and basically set up another day for him to come to court. So he comes the next time, and they get ready to start the court case. And once they get started, Doug stands up and says, "Honorable Magistrate, on and for the record, I accept your oath, bind you to it, remind you have a fiduciary duty, and I extend you my sovereign immunity while you carry out my orders." And he said, as he said that, he could see that the prosecuting attorney's head started to go into his hands, and the judge's jaw had dropped, and the judge finally caught himself and propped his jaw up and said, "Doug, why don't you have a seat in that room over there, and we'll send this IRS guy in just a few minutes." Because really all there was in the court, the judge, prosecutor, IRS agent sitting by him, Doug, probably a clerk in there too. I don't know, never been in one. All I know is a few minutes later, apparently the IRS guy comes into the room where they had sent Doug. And really what he wanted to know is, what did you say out there? It sounded like he got his ass chewed. He said, look, Doug didn't really answer him. The guy says, look, we can make this go away. All you need to do is write me a letter. And so they discussed what had to be in the letter. And they went back out in the courtroom. And the judge said, you guys work it out? And they said, yeah, we did. And the judge said, case dismissed. Dismissed the case. Right? He was taken in at gunpoint by accepting the judge's oath, binding him to it, reminding him he has a fiduciary duty, extending him his sovereign immunity, your sovereign immunity, while he carries out your orders. The judge did the right thing, and he set the other guy straight, the IRS guy straight. Now the problem is, I don't know what was in the letter. Doug kind of went silent on this whole thing because, he was still afraid of other things, right? Been persecuted for lots of years, right? He's waiting for the other shoe to come down. So he never really talked about it much, but he did tell me that much. I know it to be true because he wouldn't lie to me about that. I know another guy that when he had two treasury agents come to ask him questions about not so much about him, but about somebody he might know that may have been doing some checks on closed accounts and that kind of stuff. And he said, well, before we get started, I accept your oath, bind you to it, remind you have a fiduciary duty. I extend you my sovereign immunity while you carry out my orders. The two treasury guys looked at each other, picked their shit up, and walked out the door. You didn't hear from them again. Now, people have tried that in other courts and had answers like this. Well, which one of my oaths? Which oath? My answer to that is anyone where you invoke God as your witness. Because here I am. And I'm holding you to it, and He's watching. Right? And a judge actually told somebody, I didn't take an oath to you. He said, didn't you? And, my answer is always this, didn't you take an oath to God? Don't you understand, brother? I'm full of the Holy Spirit. You did take an oath to me. I accept your oath, bind you to it, remind you of your fiduciary duty. I'm going to see if you're going to adhere to your oath, as God is now your witness. Right? I'm taking your fucking testimony. Then you just don't let them up, man. Just tell them, look, I accepted your oath, bind you to it, remind you of your fiduciary duty. All you can do now is make a willfully false judgment or give me justice. So, interesting things you find on websites. I suggest if you just want to go peruse, right, this was Clerk of the Superior Court. Anybody in Arizona, you need to be looking at this and letting this sink in your head. Child and spousal support. It'd be great to go down there and get your records on child support, spousal support, divorce proceedings, right? Any records you want to get on your court case, right? What this is saying is you don't go to the court, you go to the clerk of the court. So, I'll leave it there. Y'all have a great night. If you can donate, please do.